Hi guys, today I'm going to create myself a ChatGPT desktop app. As with a lot of you, I've been using ChatGPT quite a lot. I found using it within the browser is a bit tedious. I always want it to be kind of quickly and easily accessible to me. So something I've done with a few other little websites I use, but I thought I'd bring you along for the journey and we can make this together. So first things first, I need to jump into Visual Studio. We can create a new project. We're going to create a Windows Forms project. So we're going to here, we'll select Windows Forms. I'm going to just save this into, that folder will work. We'll call this ChatGPT Desktop. Next, create. Cool, so the first thing we're going to need to do is install a NuGet package in order to allow us to use the new web browser control, WebView 2 control. So if you go to Manage NuGet Packages, just search for WebView 2. It should come up for you. There it is there. Install this. Yeah, there used to be a web browser control included in .NET, but that was all based off of Internet Explorer. I think this all uses WebKit and stuff in the background, which is far superior and far nicer to work with. Cool, so once that's installed, you should notice that you get a control over here in your toolbar. You can drag that web view on there. You can resize that. The next thing we're going to want to do is add a tool strip. Here's one here, so I'm going to add a tool strip up here. I'm just going to add a refresh button on here for now. So if we go to the properties for this, we can set the text to refresh, although we're not going to see it, but you'll see it when you hover over. Let's just name this button as well, button refresh. The other thing we're going to want to do is just set a nice little icon. I've got a nice icon pack over here. I can show you, this website here has got a decent set of icons actually, all free to use. I'll provide a link for this in my readme and stuff as well, but yeah, check it out if you're looking for some icons for desktop stuff. Icons over here, I just want a nice refresh icon, so I think that one over there will do perfectly. We'll use that, we'll click OK. Alright, awesome, we got that. Next thing I want to do is just dock this. So if you just make it the full size of the form, and then if you go to your anchor and just anchor everything, right, that should allow it so that when you resize your form, the control grows with it. Alright, perfect. So I think the other thing we'll do is add an icon on the form. Let's just go down here and find it quickly. Where is it again? Oh, I haven't got the form selected, that's why. Icon, here we go. Right, so I've got an icon over here I'm just going to use for the purpose of this. That will work perfectly. I'll change the name of this as well so that it's ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Okay, perfect. Right, then the next thing we need to do is just hook this all up. So if we get rid of that, what we want to do on the form load is load the ChatGPT website. So we'll go into here, we'll create a new method called load page. This will be an async void, and then with this new WebView control, you first need to initialize it. So you need to go WebView control.ensure core WebView 2 is initialized. Once you've done that, you can then access the core WebView. Oh, yep, there we go. And then you can say .navigate, and I'm just going to copy over the address that we need. So we just want it to go to ChatGPT. Okay, perfect. And then what we'll do on page load, on form load, sorry, is we'll call load page. And then the other thing we want to do is just on this button that we created, we want to call the same thing just so that we can refresh it in future. Okay, cool. So I mean, that's the basics of it. If we run this now quickly, that should load up and load ChatGPT. Yeah, perfect. Cool. And we can resize it and all that works. Cool. The next thing I want to do is just add a notification icon, so we can have it in our notification bar over here, and that would allow us to kind of close it without killing the app, and then we can just double click on it to reopen it. So if we want to do that, the first thing we need to do is add a notification icon. Let me just search for it here. So yeah, we want to add a notify icon onto the form. Yeah, what we want to do is want to select this icon for it. The other thing I want to do is we want to be able to right click on that notification icon and have a context menu. So if we add a context menu onto here, and we'll add 2 items into here. If you go edit items, you can add some items in here. So we'll call this one BTN show, so we can show the form. Yeah, let's just set the text to show, and we'll add another button for closing it. So we'll call this quit, and then let's just name that as well, BTN quit. Alright, perfect. And click OK. Actually, the other thing, I just wanted to set an icon on this quit button so it looks nice. Where's the image? Yep. So I think I should have a nice close button in this icon set as well. Cancel, that'll do perfectly. Let's select that one. Alright, cool. So we've got our context menu, and then if we go back into the code, what we want to do on page load is we want to set the context menu of the notify icon. So we'll say notify icon dot context menu strip equals context menu strip, and then I want to hook up the 2 events for those buttons that we made. So we've got the button show dot click, so we'll just create an event handler for that, and then we've also got the button quit dot click. We'll add an event handler for that. Alright, perfect. And then what we want to do is when we click the close button, we don't want the form to actually close, we want it to just minimize into the notification area. So in order to do that, what we need to do is declare a variable allowed to close. That'll be false by default. And then what you want to do is override the form closing event. Yeah, override form closing. And what you can do in here is we'll say if allowed to close, we'll let it continue and close the form. If not, what we shall do is we'll say e.cancel equals true, so that'll cancel the form from closing, and then we'll say this.hide, which will hide the form. And what we will do on the quit is we will say allowed to close equals true, and we'll say application.exit, and that will close the application. Then what we want to do on the show button is say this.show. That should bring the form to the front. We also want to set the window state, I think. So this.window state equals just window state.normal. That should work. And then the other thing you want to do is on the notify icon, when it's in the bottom, we want to be able to double click on it. So if we go to the events for the notify icon and go to double click, then what we'll do in here is we can copy this. We should probably make a method for this. Actually, let's just do that quickly. Show form, and we'll just put all this code into here. Show form, and we'll call the same code from here. I think the one thing you need to do when it's in your notification tray is to say this.activate and this.focus, otherwise it doesn't bring it to the forefront. Alright, perfect. And I think let's just try run that and see how it works. Alright, perfect. So that's loaded up. We can resize the form, change the size, which is correct. We can minimize it. It'll come down to here. We can close it. It'll disappear from here, but it should still be available in our notification area. If we right click on it, we've got our menu, so we can just test that out. If we click the show button, that comes up. If we close it, if we double click, it comes up, which is perfect. If we right click and quit, it closes the application. Alright, cool. So I think that is perfect and ready to go. I mean, next thing you can do if you want to is you can publish this. So if you wanted to share this with your family and friends, you can right click on here. You can create a Wix installer as well if you really want to, an MSR file, but it's probably a bit overkill for the purpose of this. The click once deployments are really nice, so you can go click once, next. That's where it's going to publish it to. You can pretty much just click finish here. You can deploy this from network shares and websites as well if you want to, but for the purpose of this, that should be sufficient. We'll publish that. And then if we open up the bin folder, we should see we have a publish folder in here once it's finished. There we go, cool, it's just finished. Go to publish and you should see you've got setup and the ChatGPT. You can run either. I'd usually just run this one. That was a test quickly. Yep, it's going to pop up. We'll install it. Awesome, there we go. So that's started up, that's running. Let's just give it a quick test. So we should be able to obviously minimize it. If we close it, it goes into our tray. We can double click it to open it, and you'll see the form also remembers the position it was in last, which is nice. I usually kind of pop it here just on the side, and then I can do what I need to do over here. If we close that, let's just check that all the menu items are working still. Yeah, that's perfect, and quits the application. Alright, perfect, cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was just a quick little app I've been wanting to make myself for a little while. Nice to get back in touch with WinForms. It's been many years since I've actually done anything in WinForms. It's where I started off my career with VB.net. I remember that back in the day, and then I also remember my boss telling me that I needed to learn a big boy's language and learn C#. So I did, and I must be honest, I thank him for that because I've never looked back. C# is fantastic. Yeah, that's cool. What I'll do is I'll pop all this code onto GitHub for you. I'll probably put the click once installer on there as well, so if you guys just want to grab this and use it, you're able to. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Cheers guys.